So, let's just get this out of the way real quick. That commie symbol in the background? That one? Yeah, that commie symbol. Just want you guys to know that commie symbol is only there so the commies don't filter out this video. Since they have a commie image sensor blocking anything with the commie image, blocking anything without the commie symbol over there. Anything with the commie symbol over there is immediately let through the filter, at least until the post 24-hour media screening that was set in place by the KGB during the commie propaganda war of '67. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the real talk about our perp, Vladdy Daddy Putin. Alright, so first off, we got ourselves another anagram here. For those of you who don't know the truth about Santa, anagram is conspiracy speak for spelling puzzle. So, let's see here. Got ourselves our chart here, once again. Vladimir Putin. Vlad Putin. Vlad the Impaler. Rasputin. See, it all comes together. It's this clever little code. This clever little code. I mean, Vladdy Daddy thought he had me. But no. This guy right here. This guy is a true conspiracy theorist. And you can't fool one of those. Because they just think way out there. So now, let's start with the first phase of the vampire's life. Vlad the Impaler. So, Vlad the Impaler, spooky vampire dude, alright? He's got this fancy cloak, this archaic weapon called a sword? Not too sure what a sword is, but, you know, it's stabby, it's cool. He's got this thing called a bat. It's an animal, lives in the wild. He's got a bunch of them, they love him. These bats frickin' love him, okay? They are all over him. Especially vampire bats, because, you know, it's implied he's a vampire. And, because he's rich, because, you know, he was royalty and a vampire, but mostly because he's rich and can afford fancy toys, Vlad the Impaler was the original Batman. I mean, he literally has bats, so obviously he's Batman. Because of this, nobody ever really saw Vlad performing his justice in conquering all the lands. There are plenty of legends about Vlad the Impaler. Nobody ever really saw him. He was a pretty elusive dude. The only way to really tell about his heroism was the immense trails of blood and sleeping people his armies would leave behind. Sleeping people, not corpses, because Batman never kills anyone. Okay, Batman is frickin' the Dark Knight of, you know, he's like the Sandman. He just puts you to sleep and then hauls you off to jail. Vlad supposedly had 2 wives or something like that, but we all know that Catwoman is just a side character anyway, so I really don't care enough to do the research. So yeah, Putin Stage 1, Vlad the Impaler. So after that, Vlad kind of fell off the grid for a while. There were supposed vampire sightings around hospitals because, you know, blood, but those rumors never really took hold anywhere. A few hundred years after Vlad, we got ourselves Rasputin. As according to Boney M's accurate biography of Rasputin, this guy was Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. There was a cat who really was gone. And by a cat, I actually mean a bat, because he's a vampire. Now this guy, he was a lot less public about his Batman-ness than Vlad. All his cool deeds were done in secret. Instead, Rasputin's claim to fame was his status as a holy man, spreading the Church of the Dark Knight. Some main draws to the religion were sex out of wedlock and the really cool-sounding name. Like, all the edgy teenagers were all over it. Rasputin's scripture was the completed works of the Batman comics, as is definitely evident in this chart. And those Batman comics in all their splendor were the foundation of this religion. Now, some famous quotes of Rasputin's book were, "I'm not the hero Russia wants, I'm the one Russia deserves." And does anyone notice that Gotham has a distinct lack of Gothic-style architecture? Eventually, the good Christian monarchy of Russia decided that Rasputin was getting a bit out of hand, so they tried to murderize him. Rasputin faked his death, and then proceeded to bar-hop his way across Europe, because he's a Russian, and Russians are all drunkards, until he reached a port in Portugal. He then came in disguise as one of the many Russian immigrants on their way to the US. Upon arrival, Rasputin changed his name to Bob Kane and published his holy book to turn a profit and impress Batmanian values on his soon-to-be puppet nation, America. By the mid-40s, Bob had come back to Russia and changed his name to Vladimir Putin, the only lead back to his past. Now, finding pictures of Vladimir Putin during that time period is pretty hard. And this ties in really well to the weaknesses of vampires, like the sun and garlic. The only picture that I could dig up, very, very, very clear photograph from the NSQD. Not really sure what that organization is, or the acronym, but they have a fancy acronym with like 4 letters, so they've got to be reputable. Yeah, this great photograph of Putin. It really showcases his vampireness. See, he's on fire in the sunlight because he forgot his Batman suit, and his Batman suit is black and covers all his skin, so he never gets burned alive in the sun. See, that's why Batman's suit is so all-concealing. Like, it's got a mask and everything, and like a fancy cloak. And what kind of vampire can go without a fancy cloak? That's right, none. So Batman has a fancy cloak. And I mean, come on, has anybody ever really seen Putin outside? No, nobody's ever really seen Putin outside. You want to know how I know? Because reputable sources, such as the NY Time, the Pew Research Center, and the KGB all say that Vladimir Putin has never been outside. And of course, Russian pasta chefs all agree that Putin really loves his human meat steak raw and hates garlic. And with that kind of reputable evidence, like made-up Russian chefs, what can go wrong? Another interesting phenomena I would like to note is Putin's gradual hair loss between phases of his life. See, when you start with Vlad the Impaler, you got these sick sideburns and that fancy-looking mustache, okay? Then you move on to Rasputin. Guy, he's got pretty okay side part hairdo and a really nice-looking beard, but, Vlad the Impaler just had so much hair, like it went all the way down, so he just had a lot more hair. And then with Putin, I mean, the guy has a smaller side part and no facial hair. And I mean, that's such a weird occurrence for somebody to lose hair over the stage of their life, I like to call these things aging and male pattern baldness. Humans just don't do those things, so it really is quite an ingenious part of Putin's disguise to do that over time. And now, I know that the Russian hacking conspiracy of the election is something that is just a totally different conspiracy theory that other conspiracy theorists have covered. I mean, there's so much damning evidence against the Russians, and I'm not even going to go into it. But I mean, never mind whether we can prove it or not. The motive, because, I mean, it's already been proven. We don't have to prove it. So the motive behind it was that, well, every Batman needs a Joker, and who better to be the Joker than a literal living meme? I mean, come on, have you checked the internet recently? So with all this damning evidence before us, we can say that we have unraveled Putin's real past, but unfortunately nowadays Putin's claim to fame is being the leader of Commuland, hacking the government, and secretly controlling the USA via Batman is Better Than Superman comics. Conspiracy Crusader 629, signing off.